A while loop works very similar to a for loop, except for we use a while loop when we're not sure exactly how many times we want it to loop. A for loop, we told it exactly how many times to loop, but with a while loop, let's play with that. So if we were doing something like, let's do this. Let's say total equals 0. So I've set this variable up called total, and I'm going to do a loop that says while total is less than or equal to 21, run this loop. And inside the loop, it's important that I change the total or I'm stuck in a loop forever. If I don't ever do anything with the total and the total stays 0, the program will get stuck in this loop and never end. So I would do something in here to say, all right, I'm going to use the random integer command to where it is going to generate a number between 1 and 10. Okay, and then I'm going to print whatever that, let's see. I'm going to save a variable. Number equals, and I'm going to print what that number is. So every time it's going to generate a number between 1 and 10. And I'm going to print it, and then I'm going to add that to the total. Whatever the total was, add the number. Okay, so looking at this loop now, we've got a total of 0. It'll go enter the loop, and the first time it checks, the total is less than or equal to 21 because it's 0. So we generate a number by using the random integer function. We haven't really studied this, but it's in that Python API where you can click and see all the commands used. Random integer, and we can tell it the range. So now I'm going to print that number, whatever it generates, and then I'm going to add it to the total. So it'll generate a number. Let's say 6. It'll print 6 and then add it. And when it comes back up here and checks, the total is still less than or equal to 21. So it'll run through the loop again, and it'll keep doing the loop until the total is larger than 21. Now, we haven't studied this, but to use the random integer function, I do have to import that. From random, import rand integer. It's kind of like from math import, we have to import the math functions or the turtle functions. If I want to use the random function, I have to import that. But this is the while loop using the random integer between 1 and 10. So let's run it and see how many times it goes through the loop. So first time, it chooses the number 9, and then 6, and then 3, and then 5. So it runs the loop 4 times. Let's run it again. Well, this time it ran through the loop 5 times because 1, 2, 8, 14, 4. So we had total of 3, total of 11, total of 15. After 4 times through the loop, it was still less than 21. It was only 15. So it ran the loop 1 more time. Now it totals 23, so it exits the loop. So if we run it, each time it's going to be different number of times that it runs. 4 and 5. Oh, there were only 3 that time because it chose large numbers. But we're using a while loop instead of a for loop just because we're not sure, in this case, how many times we need to do the loop, because it's going to change each time because I'm using random integer. But a lot of times there's other code that you write that you're not really sure how many times, especially if instead of a random integer, I'm saying import. So let's do this like an input number. I can delete this if I'm not using the random. So let's do this. If I said number equals integer input, enter a number. Now when I run the program, it's having the user enter a number. I'm going to enter 5. And went through the loop. I got to enter another number, 6. Oh, 65. I hit 65 by mistake. So if the user's entering numbers, we don't know how many times it's going to run. Because if I'm entering 1 and 2 and 1 and 3 and 2 and 1 and 3 and I didn't enter a number. I just hit enter by mistake. So we're having the user enter a number. It could be that they're going to go 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 1 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I finally got over 21. But see, it had to run the loop many times because we don't know if it's an input, how long. If they enter 25 right off the bat, the loop's done. So while loops are very useful also in repeating code over and over, but we just use it when we're not sure exactly how many times. If we know for sure how many times we need the loop to run, we would use a for loop instead.